Hi man, welcome to or welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing the generally speaking book tag. This tag was created by CrimonOlly and I was tagged by Very Literary Kari. As you can see, I'm actually posting this on Tag Tuesday. Yeah, this is the first time I posted a tag actually on Tag Tuesday. I mentioned at the end of my last video on Saturday basically that I was considering posting 3 times a week, and I was considering whether I should do Monday, Wednesday, Friday or Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. And obviously, you can tell I've decided to do Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday and just do a Tag Tuesday, hopefully every Tuesday, and then Thursday and Saturday doing videos. I have so many videos that I've been wanting to do. I just haven't had time because I only post twice a week. So yeah, expect to see a lot of new kinds of videos, a lot of different ideas I have had ruminating in my mind that I can actually do. So when it comes to books, especially fiction, most books tend to fall within specific genres. But what is really interesting to me is when certain books branch out of their specific genres and kind of blend genres. And so that's what this tag is supposed to look at. It's supposed to look at books that are one genre but do other things that could be part of another genre. So number 1 is a horrifying book that isn't horror. I wasn't sure if I was supposed to answer all fiction books with this, but this one is the one on the list that is nonfiction, and that's Hungry Bengal. Basically, this book is a nonfiction following the horrible starvation in India during World War II, in specifically the Bengal region of India. And I read this for my India and World War II class last semester, and it is pretty horrific to read. There are a lot of disgusting descriptions of starving Indian people, and a lot of also horrifying actions done by the British government to try to combat the starvation. So in general, it's just a horrifying book to read, even though it's nonfiction history. It's not horror, but yeah, it's pretty horrific. Number 2 is a book with a terrible crime that isn't a crime novel. You know what I'm gonna pick. It's Crime and Punishment by Fyodor Dostoevsky. This book literally starts off, the first 50 to 100 pages document Raskolnikov as he's contemplating murdering this lone woman who gives loans and her sister, and he ends up murdering them both pretty horrifically. In fact, in The Sinner and the Saint by Kevin Birmingham, which I read last month, which is a nonfiction documentation of Dostoevsky writing Crime and Punishment, in that one it describes how before that, a lot of violence in books was very tamed down. So just to have a book come right out of the bat having such violent imagery of this murder was quite horrific to the Russian population during the time. So yeah, even though this book is a drama and it's not a crime drama, it's not a mystery, it's nothing like that. The crime is centermost to the beginning of the novel, and yeah, so it's terrible crime. Number 3 is a book about love that isn't a romance. And here's the thing, I feel like love we think of as being a romantic love, but what I love about certain books is that there is no romantic love, but they are about love. So I picked Cry the Beloved Country by Alan Paton because the love for the father in here. It follows this black minister who learns that his son is being accused of murdering a white man in pre-apartheid or during apartheid in South Africa. And he acts with such great love, not only for his son, but for humanity. He is just filled with love, this main character. And I loved him so much, and he was an amazing father. And even with all the horrible things that happen in this book, he still always has this great love. So even though it's not a love story, it's not a romance at all, it does have this deep love that I absolutely love. Number 4, a book with a puzzle that isn't a mystery. And I'm going to go with The Clackerty by Laura Sneff. Basically, this is a story of this little girl who has to go through all these puzzles in this dark, mysterious world to free her aunt from this horrible creature called the Clackerty. And even though it's not a mystery, it's more of a horror, middle grade horror, I would say. The puzzles and Evie trying to go through all these houses and figure out what's going on are very much like mystery, but it's not a mystery, so it counts. Number 5, a book with magic that isn't a fantasy. For that, I'm going to go with, The Explorers Guild by John Bard and Kevin Costner. Even though this is a adventure book that follows these dragoons that are trying to find the legendary city of Shambhala, like at the end, it just delves into pure fantasy. Like the last 100 pages are like pure fantasy, even though up until then it's much more of like historical adventure. So it does have magic and it does have fantasy worlds, but it's not a fantasy. Number six, a book that thrilled you that isn't a thriller. I'm going to go with Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. This one is like a grand heist story about these group of individuals in this fantasy world that are doing a heist and things happen. And even though this isn't a thriller, this is a YA fantasy. There are, like, it's a thriller. Throughout the entire book, there are so many thrilling moments. One common thing I see in a lot of thrillers is that they tend to be very intense of like what will happen, what's going to happen. And this book has that throughout the entire book. It's a great book. I highly recommend this duology.
Hey, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my baby. My baby. My baby.
Sorry. short intermission. All right, number 7, a book with science that isn't science fiction. For that, I'm going to go with Mrs. Frisby and the Rats of Nim by Robert C. O'Brien. This follows this little mouse who is trying to figure out how to move her house before it is destroyed during the spring when the farmer plows the fields, which is where her house is right now. And so she seeks out the Rats of Nim. Even though this book is more of, I guess, children's fiction? I don't know what I'd say it. The whole point of the Rats of Nim are that they were part of experimentation, science, done by this facility to make rats and mice more intelligent. That was the whole point of them. And so they became very intelligent, and they've created this very advanced scientific city below this rose bush outside the farmer's house where Mrs. Frisby travels to. So even though this book isn't science fiction at all, science is very much the center of the book, because you have the rats doing all these science stuff, and then you also have the humans experimenting on the rats. So that's both central to this book. So I feel like most people I've either seen already did this, so I'm not going to tag anybody. Half the time I don't tag anybody, or more than half the time. But if you do the tag, I would love to watch it and see what your answers were to some of these prompts. Have you read any of these books? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. If you like this video, like, subscribe. I post now every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturdays at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, and I will see you all in the next video. Have a great week. Bye!